The Starseeker E55 is an electric grinder that includes anti-static tech, makes very little noise, delivers both good espresso and pour-over, has tapless adjustment, and has a full metal body. All this in an about $300 package, which makes it a really interesting grinder. However, as always, there will be some issues as with any product. The E55 doesn't differ in this matter. However, I really think the issues with this grinder are very small and the pros are much bigger than the cons. First of all, I really think it gets easier to understand a review when we do a comparison, and for this, I'm going to be comparing the E55 to this grinder, the Breville Sage Express. Starting with the build, the E55 is a single dose grinder, not having a funnel for grinding on demand, which in my opinion is a pro, because it isn't ideal to have the coffee stored in the funnel like this, because it oxidizes and gets stale a lot faster. We also have a grind adjustment that is a lot more pleasing to use than in the Breville. Having an adjustment collar with needle-shaped bearings, this gives it a much better premium and accurate feeling when adjusting the grind set. Meanwhile, the Breville has this wheel here which I don't like the feeling of at all. One of the most important factors for me when using a grinder is the noise, and again, the Breville is a grinder I don't like to use at all. Meanwhile, the E55 has a very quiet and neutral noise profile. This noise reduction on the E55 is caused by a lot of factors, but I think the main one is that it uses DC power supply. By having a non-AC motor, it allows it to have a totally different torque response curve, which allows for slower rotation, allowing the grinder to have this more pleasing noise. Oh, and one more thing, the DC makes it use this 24 volts 4 amps power break, which means that it's almost whatever when it comes to the voltage used on it, while the Breville is generally 220 volts only. The retention on the Breville is considerable even in pour-over, but even worse when it comes to espresso. Meanwhile, the E55 retains very little, even less when using the included bellows, allowing to eliminate what's left inside the grinder, but the main contributor to reducing mass in this grinder are these brushes at the chute. These brushes are nothing more than the same tech in hairdryers to reduce static. It electrifies the air, creating ozone, thus giving the grounds an electric charge, reducing static. Because it has an ionizer, it's not advisable nor needed to use RDT, which is the technique of spraying the beans with some water. When you RDT in grinders that have an ionizer, you clog it and you have to keep cleaning it more frequently. This is a factor that makes me think the E55 Pro is a worse grinder than the non-Pro, because the only advertised changes between them are the burr coating, which doesn't matter much, the chute which is an ugly acrylic, and the ionizer which is internal instead of external, making it harder to clean. Speaking of cleaning, this is when the first problems with the E55 appear when comparing to the Breville. To disassemble it, you're going to need a few tools, an Allen key and a socket wrench. In the Breville meanwhile, we only need a socket wrench to remove the internal burr. Another point where the Breville wins is in how intuitive it is to find the grind set where you're at. The E55 doesn't have an adjustable 0 point. Mine locks in the 65 mark, which is pretty random. Because of this, I adjusted kind of ignoring the numbers and always think about rotation from the burr lock. But I don't think this is a deal breaker, and I wasn't expecting this from the grinder in this price point. Another small issue, which this is the last one in this review, is this bellows. The bellows are the only contact point in the grinder where I don't have that premium feeling. It's necessary for getting rid of the last bits of chaff and microfines, but it makes a bit of a mess and doesn't fit that well in the grinder. It's a dust magnet and it gets quite ugly. I like a better solution to this issue, such as a good knocker. Now to talk about its performance, it's a grinder with a hybrid profile, meaning it makes espresso and pour-over well, but it's not going to be super clean either, nor will it be super chocolatey. It's a grinder with okay clarity and okay body. It's a grinder that will make almost any coffee you throw at it well. I personally tend to use high clarity grinders very little, because the sad reality is that most coffees that I drink don't do well on grinders such as the EP6. I rarely want that much clarity on my coffee. It's not a super fast grinder, but it's also not super slow. The 55mm burst set means that it's at least faster than the same geometry if it were made in 38 or 48mm. And noise in espresso is louder than when grinding for pour-over. But I do find it pretty tolerable even in espresso. In conclusion, I think that if you can find this grinder around $300, it's an excellent grinder. I would ignore the E55 Pro and would focus on the non-Pro. It's also a big upgrade over the Breville, which is not only more expensive, but it also has more problems when compared to the Starseeker. The only matter that's left is warranty. Starseeker being a Chinese brand, you have to evaluate the warranty service where you're buying it from, to see if it's worth it over other grinders. That's it for this review and thank you for watching.